How would you like to be remembered? Please jump into the comments and answer this question. I would really like to know from you, how would you like to be remembered? And I promise I'll do the same. Hey, my name is Van der Puchert. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about questions and how that can create connection. Now, usually I start off my videos by saying, hey, my name is Van der Puchert, and I think that most of the world's problems are just interesting design challenges in disguise. I believe that, I truly do, but I leave out two things. The first thing is to solve the world's problems, you need to know what the world's problems are. And for that, you have to have an inquiring mind and you have to ask exploratory, meaningful questions to find those problems. Because too many organizations are out there solving problems that don't exist. Now, the second part of that statement, it's rare that you solve problems on your own. Asking questions is really an important way to create connection between collaborators. It's really important to create a space where people feel safe, included, inclusive, and the way you do that is by creating some form of connection between the participants. I've seen sometimes where I thought, hey, I'm going to skip it. Then there's definite kind of a disconnect between people. So one of the easiest ways to create connection between people is to allow them to have a conversation and to get that conversation to go in a nice direction is to ask or get them to answer really good, meaningful questions. You can experiment with these questions. It's not rocket science, as long as you're authentic. But recently I found an interesting design tool, the We Connect cards, created by Chad Littlefield. Brilliant facilitator himself, also someone who creates a lot of content on YouTube, useful content that also supports this card deck. And you don't even have to have a card deck. There's a lot of useful content there as well. So go follow Chad Littlefield for more of this kind of stuff. Now, let me crack open this box. And in essence, it is a set of 60 cards with really interesting questions on them that you can use in your sessions or for whatever application you might think of. So inside, nice sturdy box, I must mention, so this will survive traveling. You have a nice instruction booklet here. There's not too much in the booklet. It's got the different categories that I'll talk about in a second, but most of the instructions or kind of guidance around using this tool you'll find online. And there's, I think, a set of 10 exercises you get with this when you purchase the card deck, but for that you need to go online. There's a little bit of, like we say in Polish, reklama, advertising here, and you can connect with Chad and do all kinds of magical things. There's also a card that unpacks the different categories. Now, if you could see here in my hand, you've probably seen already, there is 3 different main colors here. So you have the purple, the green, and the blue. So first you have the purple categories. These are questions around self-reflection. I asked a self-reflection question at the beginning, thought that would be more interesting because it's between you and me. Then you have a set of green cards here, also 20 questions there. Nicely laid out, you can see nice big font here. These questions, the green represent questions that are fun and light. If you want to go a bit deeper, you have the blue category here. And perhaps I must also mention that the cards are nice quality. It's quite nice and sturdy, well made. But what I wanted to point out is that on the back, you have these symbols. And there's 10 symbols in a category. So for example, you'll see this little man shaking his right foot or left foot, sorry. There's a little matching card of that man. Now, the same is true for all them. So the same characteristics here. So for example, you'll see that, but then you'll see if you go through this, there's another matching card here. So hopefully I'm making sense here. But you have these symbols. They don't have a direct connection to the question. I'll explain now in a second when I talk about my exercise, how I used these symbols. Then as promised, quickly, let's do a quick probe, 1 or 2 questions for each section. You get a taste of what's here. So here's the self-reflection, the purple one. So let's just go random. So one here is, what is something you know really well? Maybe one more. What has been one of your favorite moments in life? So really you can feel that the questions here are going a little bit on self-reflection, probing and thinking about yourself. Then the fun and light stuff. So I actually used this one for a digital exercise as a warm-up. What do you have on your refrigerator door? And I challenged people to respond by drawing a picture or just dropping an image on the canvas. So really a fun way to do that. And then what is something you have always wanted to learn? And then if you want to go a bit deeper, what is your greatest struggle right now? A bit more serious. What is one personality trait that you admire in others? So you can see here that it dives a little bit deeper. And then Also, what I want to mention is that before you buy these, you can jump into Chad's website. It's weand.me, link below. And you can download, I think, a set of 20 cards. But that being said, these cards are nice and sturdy, solid made, and I used them in a workshop recently. And let me quickly, if I don't destroy this explanation completely, explain to you and share with you my nice introductory connection exercise. I just came up with that name for it right now. So I recently did a workshop where we explored connection. So what I did is I looked at Chad's card deck, the We Connect cards. I thought, okay, cool, let's see if I can do a bit of connection here between people. And I thought, you know what, I want people to talk about themselves. I want them to do a little bit of self-reflection. And for that, I grabbed the purple cards. I guess the green would have also worked nicely if it was a lighter workshop. And then what I did is for each participant, I gave them one of these cards. Luckily, I had, I think, about 18 participants, so I had enough cards, so each person received the card. Now, they were all standing around with a card in their hand, and I said, okay, cool guys, go find your matching symbol. So that worked really brilliantly in this exercise, is that they went out, so the person who had this card had to go find the other person who had this card, right? So you'll see there's the matching symbols right there. And then they connected with each other. And for that, I then prompted them to say, listen, introduce yourself to each other. And by all means, remember, you're going to have a conversation with someone. And then you have to introduce that someone to the group later on so that I don't surprise them. And then I said, but what I want to do is I want you to introduce this person, give us their name, but then also ask them the question on this card so they can actually answer the question. And what was really awesome about this, what I really enjoyed about doing this exercise is probably the moment when everybody had clarity around the exercise, when I turned around and walked away. Just the buzz of conversation that erupted as each of these smaller person-by-person group having their conversation, exploring the answers of these cards. And then when the time was up, I think I gave them about 10, 15 minutes to explore all the questions. I then gave each person in the group a chance to introduce the person that they were talking to. Worked great. And as mentioned, you can go to Chad's website. You'll grab about 10 or even more exercises that relates to these questions. You can also download a sample pack, print them out, and by all means use them and see what you can experiment with. And that is how simple it is. I feel like I need to say more, but this is really simple, and simple is good. I trust them because I think they really thought through. I saw them work. Great set of cards, backed up by a lot of content and intention. So I really recommend go checking out these cards. One tip though, you can buy them off Chad's website, weand.me, but I'm in Europe. And I ended up buying this set from a company in UK, and I want to specifically give them a shout out because they went out of their way to actually help me to get my hands on these cards. So no kickbacks or anything, just great customer service, and that's why I mentioned them. So go check it out if you're interested in buying them, and by all means, if you want to give it a try, you have the starter pack on Chad's website that you can check out. So hopefully that was useful. And don't forget, how would you like to be remembered? And as always, catch you in the comments.